Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. My name is Stephanie.
And I'm Travis.
And this is the podcast where we prove that the honeymoon stage never has to end.
Never.
Never, ever, ever. How are you?
I'm good, baby. How are you?
I'm doing well.
How was your week?
Honestly, right before starting this, I was like, what are we going to talk about for the week? I feel like nothing really happened. Nothing significant happened. We did have family over yesterday.
That was nice.
Which was really nice. Just being able to show people our space and enjoy people in our space, host people in our space. I'm always the hoster, so I love it. And then I started to think about, remember how chaotic I kind of was at the beginning of the week?
Vaguely.
Like you kind of were,
yeah.
You were like, did I do something? Are you okay? What's wrong? I kind of wasn't like.
You said like your mind was just a million places.
Like I wasn't showing Travis such much love and affection that I normally do. It's in our nature to just be very lovey-dovey. And I kind of was just zoned out.
And I'm just like, what's wrong?
And I couldn't figure it out because I'm like, nothing happened. Nothing's wrong. I know that my mind, in true Gemini fashion, I want to do a million things at once. So I kind of was like thinking of a million things I had to do with the house, with the podcast, with money, with the future, with the kids. And I feel like maybe my mind was so busy that I didn't even realize that I was kind of like slipping from you in a way. But then I thought about it. I feel like it was my body's defense mechanism because of everything that's going on with the school shooting. I feel like the past couple of tragedies that have happened, whether literal tragedies with people or like politics, I've kind of just been not really focusing on them because I feel like I'm overwhelmed. Like there's always something to mourn. Like week after week, there's like trauma porn all over Instagram. And I've kind of just been taking a back seat.
You think that's been for the better?
For my mental health, yes.
Okay.
But I feel like with this most recent tragedy, it was like children, teachers, another mass shooting right after the one in Buffalo. Like I feel like my brain was working on overdrive.
To protect you.
To protect me from thinking about it, from focusing on it. And I was just all over the fucking place.
Yeah, it's heavy. And it's weird knowing things like this are going on in the world, and you just kind of have to live your life because you can't take time to feel the weight of these things, because if you did every time something like this happened, you would handicap yourself.
You wouldn't have any room left for joy. And I feel like with social media, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you kind of are forced to make a statement. Because if you don't, people think you don't care, especially with our platform, right? It's like I'm protecting my mental health, so I don't really want to discuss it. But if I don't retweet, or if I don't share something in our story about it, we look like we're not in tune with what's going on, like we're tone deaf. But it's like, what's the difference of me sharing the same New York Times article that 30 other people we follow already shared?
Yeah.
But if you don't, then you have like this guilt. And it's like, how are people going to view us if we're not talking about this trauma?
Yeah, like you said, I don't want to add to the trauma porn. But I'm also not disconnected in the sense that I don't know what's going on. I don't carry some of that weight on me with what's going on. So, fuck what people think. It's what I know. It's what I feel.
And then I've also seen people like let's say we shared about Texas, but we didn't share about what happened in Buffalo. It's like, oh, but what happened to this? Why didn't you talk about that? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, let people react how they're going to react.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's judging you on how you handle or process trauma on your own social media page. And it's like, leave me alone. But I get it. Because when you do have a certain platform, you do have a sense of responsibility to speak on the truth, to speak on current events like, what's your opinion on it, right? Like, for example, I'm very pro-choice, and I think there should be common sense gun laws in this country. And there's certain people that just because of those two things, they don't want to follow me and support me. And that's okay. I'm very okay with that.
That's not your people.
Those aren't my people. So I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I want to talk about things that bring us joy. And it's sad because, like, you know, why is her name slipping me? Zero-based budget. Cindy. She just finished her manuscript for a book that she's been writing. That's a moment to celebrate. And she kind of had to lead with an apology and say, like, you know, it's hard to celebrate myself in this moment, but I did this thing that's amazing. We shouldn't feel that way. We should be able to live our life and be happy and have joy.
Two things can be true, right?
Yes.
Like, there's a tragedy or multiple tragedies that occurred, but then there's this milestone in my life that I'm going to celebrate. You should be able to scream from the top of the mountain that I accomplished this, but it doesn't take away from this. So yeah, congrats to Cindy.
Yeah. And, you know, like, on that day, it was so tragic. People were born that day celebrating births of children, you know. People were graduating. It's graduation season. It's prom season. And what we gonna tell all of these people, like, well, that doesn't matter.
Like, right now we have something, quote unquote, more important.
Yeah. And on a grand scale, yes. But to the individual person, they can't miss out on their moment because of what's happening in the world. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that in my chaos brain. Anything with you this week?
No, I've just been looking forward to these couple days off. And I was just mentioning to you that they fly. It's already almost the end of the weekend, and then I get a little bonus day and back to the grind. But I'm appreciative of it and enjoying it. I think we're going to barbecue later. That should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out. All right, Daddy. Did you know segment? Today's going to be interesting. We kind of talked about it a little bit.
So I do research for these Did You Knows, and I just find little relationship, marriage facts that I find funny or interesting. And there's one that, honestly, since I've started doing this, that has kept coming up. And it was, did you know you can really die of a broken heart? And I've seen it multiple times, and I'm just like, it's not interesting enough. It's not engaging enough. What can we really say about it? Or will the people even find that fact interesting? But now, speaking on that tragedy that happened in Texas, there was a husband of one of the teachers that passed away, that got murdered. He died
2 days later
of a heart attack. And it brought me back to the fact that I always overlook this. Did you know? So we'll talk about that a little more, but I'll read this. Did you know? So did you know it's rare, but you can really die of a broken heart. A sudden emotional blow, such as the death of a loved one, can shock the heart into forming an unusual oval shape, rendering it incapable of doing its job. When a person first comes in, the heart can look terribly weak. It may be barely squeezing. In a severe case, you'd be in the intensive care unit in shock, and without medical attention, you wouldn't survive, said Dr. Elon Whitstein, an assistant professor of medicine at Johns Hopkins Medicine, who published one of the first papers on broken heart syndrome, also called stress cardiomyopathy.
So literally, when we talk about a broken heart, it's like not literal, but technically it is. Like, you can literally die of a broken heart. And I did just a quick Google search on this family, and they have 4 children. The eldest is 23, then 19, 15, and 12. And they lost both of their parents in a matter of 2 days. And tragically, I couldn't even imagine.
Do you think there's something, and this might be a little crazy to say, but do you think there's something a little beautiful about the fact that he just died because he was so heartbroken? Like he was like so in love?
So it sounds like it could be romanticized, but considering what happened,
Yeah.
it's like, no.
It's not like they were both elderly and then...
Like if it was just an elderly couple.
You ever seen The Notebook?
Yes.
They both passed away in their sleep.
Yes. That's like, oh, but this situation is no. It's like I can't romanticize the fact that an 18-year-old was able to buy an assault rifle and go into a school and kill 21 people. Like, I can't romanticize that at all. And left behind 4 children. Like, I'm thinking of the eldest son. He's 23 and he's going to have this mound of responsibility now to help raise his siblings. It's tragic. Thankfully, the community is pulling together and they've raised millions of dollars for them. And I hope that it just makes it a little bit easier. But I know no amount of money can replace your parents, nor make up for the trauma in the way that they lost their parents.
Yeah, the therapy bills alone.
And there's so much spotlight on their family. And honestly, sometimes even coming into a lot of money could cause more trauma and drama in families, you know? So I just wish them the best.
Yeah,
and
that was the first concern I had. Like what was the amount that they've raised so far?
It's like 2.5 million.
And that's amazing. But you also consider there's 4 kids. That's like starter money, right?
Yeah.
Like you could start a decent life with that money. But then I worry about the outsiders. And when I say outsiders, it's like, you know, the extended family coming in and, you know, thinking they know what's best because you're younger or whatever the case is. So my mind immediately went to a negative place. But I'm going to try and put out positive energy and hope that, you know, everyone that's surrounding them has their best interests.
And that people are reaching out to them with resources and ways to help in terms of how to manage the money, in terms of how to finish high school, finish college, all those things that they are going to need guidance in now that their parents are no longer here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad. I feel like part of me, I'm also in this place where I'm no longer in the classroom. And I'm grateful for that because I feel like it would have made it harder for me to feel emotionally okay. I remember doing active shooter drills at school. And when I first did them, I was working in a special needs class. And all I kept thinking was, there's no way I can keep 12 special needs students quiet if something like this were to happen, let alone if there's sounds of gunfire in the building.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. I used to think that.
Just imagine kids who aren't special needs.
Exactly.
Now add that factor.
Exactly. Then when I was teaching 4th graders, it was 30 of us in a classroom, and I was trying to squeeze them into a corner that if they were looking through the door, you couldn't see them. Another thing is, it kind of was frowned upon if you kept your door locked, because then it kind of seems like you don't want administration barging into your room or whatever. But I'd rather my door just always be locked. So if I had to hide, that's one less step that I have to do. And imagine in a moment of panic, you got to find your keys, lock the door. Then you got to cover the door so they can't see inside. Like, all of these things you're trying to think of while you also just have to teach.
Yeah, I can't imagine what teachers were feeling. You know, I guess we'll get into the parent aspect in a second, but teachers, like, this is your job. This is somewhere you come. And some teachers genuinely love what they do.
Most teachers do. I would want to say that. I feel like most teachers do.
So now to have this happen, and then you have to go, it's almost like a little PTSD.
And it's not like teachers were like, oh, take the day off. Or it's like, oh, this horrible thing happened and everybody went back to work the next day.
Sorry about that. River decided to wake up from his nap and was like,
Yeah, so I honestly don't remember the last thing I said.
But I was basically saying that it's crazy that teachers just had to go back to work, right? And not act like it didn't happen, but have that weight of what happened on them while teaching. Because you always worry about copycats and things like that. I'm sure that runs through a teacher's mind.
And also, how do you talk to your kids about it? Teachers aren't, that's not part of your degree. That's not part of your training. Like how to comfort children who are scared.
So I want to get into that part, right? So school happened and Eli came home and his homework for the day was
just hug your family.
Hug your family. And I'm sure the teacher did that just because of the weight of what was going on. But
she didn't want to send homework home.
But also for her, right?
Yeah.
Like who wants to deal with homework when, you know, everything going on? But I thought it was sweet. Just go home, hug your loved ones, and that's it.
And he's in second grade, so it doesn't seem like they had a formal discussion as to what happened.
So where did we go?
One of his friends mentioned it, though.
So we went to dinner that night.
Yeah.
And we were sitting down at the restaurant, and you could take it from here.
Yeah. There was a TV, and it was muted, but he could read the captions. So he goes, "Oh, yeah, I heard they were killing people in Texas. We can't go to Texas." So then I asked him if he had heard about it, because we kind of were avoiding it. Like, we didn't even know what to say. And we usually wait to see what he knows or how much he understands before we feed him too much. And he said that his friend told him that a man went into an elementary school in Texas. He said in an elementary school, and was killing people and teachers. So he said we can never go to Texas. So one of the things I've been thinking about with this is we can't stop living our lives. I can't stop grocery shopping. I can't stop going to movie theaters. I can't stop going to nightclubs. I can't stop going to concerts. Like, we have to still live. So I didn't want him to think like, now Texas is this place we could never go to, even though Texas has its own other drama politically, but that's neither here nor there. We're like, no, that's not true. You know, if we had to go to Texas, we can still go. It was, you know, a tragedy, and hopefully it never happens to you or anyone we love or anyone ever again. But yeah, it's not, we can't go to Texas.
And he sat there for a second, and you can, you know, we're his parents, so we can tell when he's getting emotional.
Yeah, like
and his eyes started to water up. And then you asked him, "What are you feeling?"
And he was like, "I'm sad." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "'Cause I don't ever want this to happen to you." Like, he made it seem like he was afraid of losing me. So that kind of like, my heart was like,
that broke me.
Yeah, that's when it hit us. Like,
I embraced him. Like, mind you, we're like in the middle of this restaurant, and I'm hugging him, just kissing up on him and telling him that, you know, we're safe
and we're gonna live. We
love
lives.
You, and you know, and that was the moment where the weight of something like that hit my home.
Yeah. And then for me also, the past couple episodes, I've mentioned how I've been trying to be better at like not being so reactive with Eli and not yelling as much as I tend to yell. And one of the tweets from one of the parents who did lose her son in this tragedy, she said, like, "I'm sorry I was so hard on you." And that broke me. Like, that's the one that hit me like, And this is why I was, you know, trying to stay on social media, trying to avoid getting fed too much about what's going on. But I do want to like move on from this.
Yeah.
And do know in the future, if we don't talk about a tragedy, it's not that we don't care, but it's just, we want this space to be a happy space.
Yeah, and we're going to have our moments, but we also want it to make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on, my love.
Moving on. So on our story, we had a poll about period sex.
I didn't know we were moving on that much, but
you didn't know we were moving that? So it's so awkward, like how we go from that to period sex. But, you know, that's what you get here.
We're here.
So one of our videos about how often married couples had sex was getting a lot of buzz. So it averaged out to 1 or 2 times a week, which I thought was healthy. Travis said not really. And then someone in the comments pointed out like, well, if you think about it, your period takes away 3 to 10 days, depending on the woman. So that's why the average is so low. Then other people in the comments are talking about, hello, you can still have sex on your period. Like, why are you being so immature? Like, you can have sex on your period. Use a towel. Shower sex. So I wanted to ask our audience on Instagram, how do you feel about period sex? So 72% of people that responded were like, I'm with it if you with it. But then there were also the other 30% were between it's painful or the blood creeps me out.
Okay. Maybe you can explain the it's painful one.
Yeah, well, for me, it's not painful, but I know women are different, and some women have extreme cramps that I feel like they're not even going to get in the mood to have sex to begin with.
Okay.
But I'm honestly not knowledgeable enough to know what exactly is causing pain. Like for me, the only thing I could think of is extreme cramps, like to begin with.
So that one, y'all get a pass. Pain, I don't think anyone should have to have intercourse while they're in pain just to please their partner. Fuck that. Good job. But the last one, which was, it grosses me out. Grow the fuck up.
No. Why are you saying grow the fuck up?
Grow up, because I don't know what this says about me. I don't think since I lost my virginity at 16, and the person I lost my virginity to was a virgin as well. So I'd seen blood. And there was no moment of, oh, like, this is weird, or what did I do? Or it's just like, oh, it's just blood. This isn't, I've heard of this.
Isn't that funny though, how people take pride in like taking someone's virginity? I put that in quotes because you don't take anyone's anything.
I don't have pride in that.
But I'm talking in general, not you. Okay. Not you. And there's blood involved. But a lot of those same people are grossed out when it comes to period blood. Like it's like one's acceptable, but one's like gross. Yeah. Look ahead, where you were going with your point.
Well, I was going with that point is I saw blood at 16, and ever since, then I was sexually active, and it's never been, oh, blood grosses me out. It's like, you still want to do this? Because I'm down if you still want to do it. But if you don't, I understand. Yeah. But it's never been a thing. So to hear that it's a thing for people, it's weird for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to. I feel like you are a little bit, as a man, can't relate to why for women.
No, I get it. It's a vulnerable time, right? I would hope that the men you are sleeping with, or the person, doesn't make you feel like this is a gross thing. Absolutely.
But for so many years, women have been taught like that this is a time that they have to hide. Like they're kind of shamed into it. Women are feeling not only vulnerable, because yes, it's a vulnerable time, but like kind of disgusted. It's hard for them to feel sexy when they're bleeding because it's seen so like, you got to hide it. Like I remember being in school and like opening my Kotex really scared because I didn't want people to hear the Kotex. Like, what the fuck? So imagine that same culture over the years and you kind of never shook that shame. Now I'm going to let someone have sex with me while I'm bleeding.
I can see that.
Like, trust me, I've lost all of that shame around my period, but I can see why for some people it's still a little bit uncomfortable.
And what do you think about, do you think there's something to it where, like, if you are with someone who thinks it's nasty, like, is that something you look past, or you just be like, he's conditioned that way?
So I think it would depend. Like if he's like, it's nasty, like if my partner can't even go to the store and buy me Kotex or tampons because they're embarrassed, or like just 100% want to act like that is not a natural human process that, by the way, enables women to fucking reproduce The reason humanity is here is because we have a cycle. So if they further made me feel shameful for my period, that will be a no. That's a red flag. That's a deal breaker for me. But if they were supportive, they got me tampons, they got me Kotex, they got me snacks, they knew I had a headache, but they wouldn't have sex with me.
And you wanted to.
And I wanted to, I kind of would respect it.
Why?
Just because I feel like it's hard to undo 20 plus years of conditioning that something is gross. Like, it doesn't turn them on, right? So it's like asking, what if you wanted to do anal and your partner was 100% against it? Would you tolerate it? To some people, that's a deal breaker. To some others, it's not.
Okay.
No? You're thinking about it?
No, I'm thinking about how you use anal as an example, right?
It's a sexual preference in a way, you know? Like, to some people, it's like the blood is not going to keep me aroused. Like, it's going to kind of fuck with my mind. Like, sex is mental. And if you have so many years of being conditioned that blood is gross or that a menstruation is gross, it might be hard. Why are you laughing?
I was just saying, like, well, just put it in once. I bet all that'll go away. But
yes. But you know what I mean? Like, I can get why for somebody it's just like, that's just not my thing. Like, sexually, no. Like, I respect the process. I'm going to make sure you're okay. You have everything you need. But there's a line I can't cross. Like, it's just not sexually appealing to me. Like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And then I'll just, use toys or something during that time. Because honestly, there's certain cycles where I feel like I'm extra aroused.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's a whole group of men out there who are missing out on some, a different side of their partner because they're seen as, quote unquote gross.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't think it's much to do with like how your vagina feels during this time, even though it's probably extra lubricated because blood is going to lubricate, but also just your partner might feel more aroused, which leads to better performance in the bedroom, because you're like extra excited. Yeah. Use a towel, have something to wipe off after. Shower sex is good. It's 100% safe, but I will say something that's a myth is that people think you can't get pregnant on your cycle.
I've heard that.
But you can. It's probably less likely because you're ovulating, it's a cycle, obviously, but it's not 100% impossible. So still be careful. Okay. I found out that, how people say, oh, you could get pregnant off pre-cum. You ever heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Well, no, you can't. It's actual semen that you get pregnant from. So that means they're just not pulling out right. Or like...
So that clear stuff that comes out right before...
There's no babies in there.
Or there shouldn't be, if you're doing it right.
Yeah. So the purpose of pre-cum is to like clean the urethra.
To get ready for the...
show. For the baby ones that come out. Like, it sterilizes it so that way when you actually ejaculate, it's a higher chance of reaching.
I feel like we need a sex specialist.
We do. I've been wanting one so bad. We need to reach out to somebody. Until then,
you're going to get these facts from us.
Yeah, these sort of Googled facts.
But what do we know?
Don't take it from us.
You know what I wonder too?
What?
Well, before we get off the period sex?
No, we're not going to get off of it yet. But
we're not getting off it. Lesbians.
What about lesbians?
Like, how do they feel about period sex?
What's lit though? Their cycles probably sync up together.
Okay, but that's
so I'm thinking like even if it's a no zone, it's only 1 week out the month, not 2.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen. I remember there was like this photo that kind of went mini viral, at least amongst my algorithm, of a woman, and she had like blood all over her face because she even like does oral on her girl's period. Not you judging with those eyes.
What the fuck are you saying right now?
You got like a face like...
That's intense.
Like, whoa.
That's
You
insane.
sound like you look like you're judging.
I'm not judging. I support everyone in what they do, but that's a little much.
Okay, I guess. I guess it
Like
depends.
to get into the blood.
Yeah. You gotta do like clitoral oral.
There we go. I felt like, you were about to say something about me.
Oh, no, it's just the way you made a face.
No, I mean, but it's also probably just for the artistic expression, right? I would think maybe
like it wasn't actual blood.
maybe.
Yeah. But I do want to say, I always say this, don't take this episode to now pressure someone who doesn't want to have period sex. At the end of the day, it's up to that person. And for some people, it is a very private and vulnerable experience, right? I have friends who have severe cramps and other symptoms, headaches, nausea. Just is a time where they kind of just want to be with themselves, and no one should be saying like, oh, that's immature. No, if that's how you feel, if that's your time, if that's your vulnerable space that you don't want to include sex, then that's totally normal. That's totally healthy. I did read that orgasms could be beneficial to period cramps, though.
I'm just saying.
Well, if you don't want to have sex with your partner, maybe having a vibrator and like using a vibrator to relieve some period cramps.
That's not where I was going with this, but
You want to know something? I don't know if I ever told you.
oh fuck.
Maybe I told you. So y'all know I have problems with masturbation.
Okay.
You thought I was gonna say orgasms?
Yeah.
Travis be scared. He's like, what is this lady gonna say? Masturbating. So when I was pregnant, my hormones were like crazy, and I had a very, very, very high sex drive, and Travis had to work and, lead a normal life. So he couldn't be there every time I was in the mood. So I tried like masturbating, and I felt like after I started to get cramps. I'm like, fuck, did I like put myself into labor or some shit? Like, what did I do? But yeah, apparently orgasms can help relieve period cramps and headaches.
So what does it do for pregnancy?
I don't know. I didn't read that part. But I just remembered, like, in talking about this, I just remembered that happened, and I was a little nervous. And it says muscle contractions from climaxing can shorten your period. So maybe that's what I was feeling. Like, I came so well that my muscles are contracting.
Okay.
And being pregnant was kind of just like fucking with me. And I was probably just fine. It was probably like, damn, bitch, you did a good job.
You're doing a good job.
Oh, my God. Okay. What are other things that you feel are stigmatized about sex and just human nature, human bodies?
Stigmatized about sex. I'm not sure.
Oh my God. Pubic hair? I have a few other things.
Pubic hair? Yeah, on women.
On y'all too.
No.
But on women it's
On women,
stigmatized,
because
yes.
women will accept a Tarzan looking man down there, and
or are expected to.
Yeah. I would say, we want bald for the most part. I don't mind like a little landing strip. But also the older I've got, the less that's mattered. I just care that it's
accessible.
That's the word I was looking for.
That the vagina is accessible.
Yeah, like I don't have to like part the seas.
But he will, and he has. Because I didn't get a wax. My last wax was when I was 36 weeks pregnant. I'm not ashamed.
But truthfully, you don't grow much hair in general.
Yeah. Like my body in general isn't super hairy.
Except your head.
You would think, right? But I was 36 weeks pregnant when I got a wax, and then I didn't wax again up to fairly recently. You actually helped me trim my pubes.
Like how much do you love your partner?
So I hadn't waxed after having the baby. And, you know, we're very sexual. So once the hair is to the point where I do become like uncomfortable with sex, or like you do got to part.
I remember we went to, we were getting to that point, and of course I trimmed, but then it grew back a little, and we went to breakfast, and I was like, do they have any wax places in the area?
Yeah, because we kind of just been putting it on.
And then we had breakfast. She's like, I could come in. I was like, no. Let's go now.
Let's go now. Go wax that shit.
And yeah, we're back.
Yeah. So did you want me to wax because it was bothering you?
No, honestly, like you said, more so for you, because I need you in the zone.
Yeah.
Because like I can part the hairs and do what I got to do. But if you're not feeling sexy or in the mood.
Yeah.
So that wax was more about me.
Yeah. And it's not that my hair doesn't make me feel sexy, because I don't give a shit. It's more so when it becomes like just too much. Like it's in the way. It's an annoyance.
And it kind of absorbs some of that moisture.
Yeah. When it's super bald, like the wetness is like extra slippery.
Slipping and sliding. I don't even know if I could put ads on this video anymore.
Yeah, this video was nasty. Yeah. I feel like, especially women, you know what I used to do in college?
I'm scared.
So, you know, I was like single and ready to mingle in college. So, but if I was going out and I was like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to like bring anybody back home, I don't want to like deal with it, I wouldn't shave. That was like my way of knowing.
Oh, so no matter what, I'm coming back home alone.
I'm coming home alone. Like, even if I hit it off with somebody, I'm so ashamed of my pubic hair that I won't bring them over.
When did you let that go? Or is that more so in relationships?
I guess in relationships, you know, like, but before, like, if it was like hooking up, I would never like hook up if I wasn't completely bald down there, because I would be like embarrassed.
I know for myself as a man, like I've never gone like bald, but I'll take care of it. Like, you know, trim, maybe give myself a little lineup.
He acting like he just does it. I have to remind him sometimes.
In my
younger days,
days, in my hooking up days.
Okay.
But yeah, you've had to remind me. But I'm married, and sometimes, you know, those things slip my mind.
And then I'm like,
and then you're like,
there's hair
got
in my teeth.
Hair.
Oh my God, this is gross. This is nasty.
You know, since we're on the subject of hair, and I'm all about divulging things about my life. So we used to have someone who would come over to the house.
Oh my God, we talking about this?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, you know, fuck it. You want to make it to the top, you gotta give it a little bit.
Oh my God.
So this was not for any sexual reasons, although, you know, maybe on a nice night. So when Steph would get, what was it called?
Sugaring. Mm-hmm. So it's like a wax, but it's a sugar-based wax.
So one day she was like, you want to do your ass?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why she brought it up to me, because I'm always complaining that, you know, if you have a hairy ass, man or woman, you know that after you go number 2, there's no amount of cleaning that'll get you right. So,
and when you do a lot of walking, you felt like your ass was shaved from all the hair.
It was just annoying. Yeah. So I did it once, and honestly, it was the best fucking thing.
I was like, you should get a wax. Like, just wax it.
I mean, you know, I'm not ashamed, but she only did the crack.
Yeah.
Not like my ass.
I like your warm, fuzzy butt.
And it was the best. Like, I felt that when I did have to go to the bathroom, I was actually clean.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so gross. What do they call it when you have poop on your butt hairs? Something berries.
Dingleberries?
Maybe.
Or is that on your balls?
Ew, this is nasty. People are going to be like, this is not what we tune into. We used to like each other for it.
I forgot why I even brought up the wax.
Because we were talking about pubic hair.
Yeah, so I've gone that far. So I'll do a little manscaping in the sense of a trim, and then also with the sugaring.
Waxing your ass crack.
Waxing my ass crack. And yeah, I felt good. I felt light on my toes. So for any men out there who think, you know, we're men and we don't have to do those type of things, I think it'll definitely make your partner happy.
Mm-hmm. And also when guys kind of like shave around their penis looks bigger.
That is true.
Because it's like you could see it better. All right. Anyway, moving on. Another thing that is stigmatized, especially for women, is hyperpigmentation.
What's that?
So it's like areas of your body that have a lot of pigment, so they look darker.
Oh.
So like when you pop a pimple, it gets hyperpigmentation if you have melanin in your skin.
Okay.
So that happens to people of color on their private areas. They're darker. And for women, it's been like pink pussy is like fetishized. Like if your pussy's a darker color, is seen as like not as
But don't only white women have pink pussy?
right. So that's why that whole pink pussy hat thing was like annoying too, like the women's movement. But a lot of women have been shamed for like the color of their vaginas. How do you feel about that?
Nah, I mean, I love all vaginas. Fat vaginas, little tiny vaginas. Some of them don't even be having the little flaps. I like those too.
I remember the first time I saw a vagina with like very little labia. It was like weird to me. Because, you know, the only vagina I really saw was my own at that point. So I seen a vagina that was just like a hole in the clit. And I was like, wow, is something wrong with my vagina?
I want to definitely can't monetize this video. But remember one time, I feel like we should be on Patreon. Like the first time I saw like a really big clit, it really it was an interesting experience.
Like the hood of the clit?
Yeah, it was just like a really fat clit.
The hood. I don't
know what it's called.
So it's not the actual, it's like what covers the clit.
It was like a penis.
Yeah.
Like a really small penis.
Mm-hmm. And you know, when you're aroused, when women are aroused, that swells and gets even bigger.
Yeah. She was aroused. She was erect.
Baby, that's fucked up.
But yeah, I love all vaginas.
Yeah.
Dark, light, whatever. As long as you have a vagina.
Mm-hmm. Ingrown hairs, scars.
I've never, so before you, I haven't been as like involved with vaginas. Like obviously I've like performed oral, but since we've been married, like you got your wax, and right after your wax, you're like, can you go down, make sure they got all like, and I'm down there making sure all those little ingrowns are out, and that's just our, you know.
That's our love language.
Not well. I'm talking more so referring to me and your vagina. Like that's our time to bond. So I forget where I was going with that.
That's real love, like non-sexual touching of the vagina.
I'm soft. I'm soft. Like I could lay on my stomach and not hurt myself.
Oh my god, this clip is crazy.
So yeah. Don't shame women for the color, the shape, whatever. Mm-hmm. If it's what you're into, then you got to be able to accept that it's going to come in a plethora of designs.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say that this is why once I started waxing, I never shaved my vagina ever again, is that when you shave and your hairs are growing back, it's sharp. Mm-hmm. That sucks. Did you ever have like, has that ever bothered you in the past? Some like sharp vagina hairs?
Yeah, especially if it's not that moist.
Even, that's why I don't like when men shave like completely. Like a trim, okay, but if you shave, you also get that stubble that's like mad uncomfortable. Like, no.
Well, since I embarrassed myself, you got to tell the story about when we first started dating.
Wait, what?
And we were going to go.
Oh my God, no. I'm not ready to tell that story.
No? Come on. We're just giving out information here.
Okay, you tell it.
So this would have been our second time being intimate, I believe. Right?
I think so, yeah.
And
I don't know. It was early days.
It was really early days. But things happen so quick. Who knows what the fucking early days were?
Yeah.
But we had sex once, and then we were planning the next one, and we got a room. I booked the room. And we were texting. We were texting all day about what we were going to do to each other. I'm going to flip you this way, that way. And I remember I was at work.
You were sexting.
And you sent me a text message like, I know you're not going to believe me, but I think I have to cancel. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was waxing myself, and I'm pretty sure I ripped my pussy open. And I'm just like, I remember I have a coworker. He's still a friend to this day. I remember I was telling him how excited I was to, I'm going to go see Stephanie and it's going to get wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then you told me this and I'm like, can you believe this bitch? Like
You
she's
thought I was
making up this
lying.
lie about ripping her pussy open.
All right, don't say too much because you're about to get crazy.
What?
I don't know. I'm scared. I'm embarrassed.
So,
But basically, I was broke. I needed a wax and I refused to shave because if you're a waxer, once you shave, it's like the worst thing ever. It itches and I'm very used to waxing. So I was like, I'm going to wax myself. And I bought like a $15 wax kit and I did a pretty good job everywhere. And then in this one spot on my right labia, that shit just split open. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened. It was just there's like a thin piece of skin that's like right there. And it kind of just split. Like it kind of just ripped open. I don't know why the fuck we're saying this on this podcast. This is disgusting.
This is relationship stuff.
Yeah. That's how I knew you were the one. You weren't grossed out by it.
You sent me a picture.
Oh my, that's why I said don't say too much.
Whatever. You sent me a picture and I was like, oh shit, she really split her pussy open. I'm like, look, y'all, she really, I did. But I remember feeling bummed because I was like, are you okay? And you also were equally bummed. Mm-hmm. But then you started, doing some brujeria and you fixed yourself.
Yeah, I found the solution.
And we still went.
And we still had sex with my...
Slowly.
Yeah, with my broken vagina.
So if you ever wonder how thirsty we were for one another when we first got together.
Mm-hmm. That's how we knew it was meant to be.
Even broken pussy couldn't stop us from...
It was meant to be. Terrible.
I know you hate me right now.
I'm embarrassed.
It's all good. People love you.
All right.
Send us your broken pussy stories.
Stretch marks.
I hate that.
What
that's
you
a
hate?
thing.
That's a stigma.
Let me come here with them stripes, girl. Them tiger stripes. I don't, because especially when it comes from giving birth. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I know it can come from women having a lot of weight and losing it, or
vice versa.
But especially when it comes from pregnancy, which is like the most beautiful thing that a woman can do, it's like you better embrace those fucking stretch marks, especially if you're the cause. Like you're the one who she created a child for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. I know some women have it like severely in the sense that it's like really, I don't know, harsh. Is that the right word?
I know what you mean. Like, yeah.
And some it's just like a light, especially depending on your skin tone. But I think that's corny. And any man who makes you feel away, or any body who makes you feel away for having stretch marks, is a clown, and you're better off
red
without.
Flag.
That's a red flag. And
especially if they use it against you when they're mad at you. I hate that. Like, we can have a disagreement, but you're never going to be like, that's why you got stretch marks. Like, what the fuck? People shame you for your weight when they're mad at you. Like, red flag. I do want to close this out by saying that sometimes these things that are stigmatized, it's your partner who's a red flag and you need to be like, whoa. But sometimes it's us. Like, sometimes we judge our own selves and we need to do the inner work to love ourselves and feel beautiful and appreciate our bodies and the things that they can do. And we need to know how to identify those differences. Like, is it a me problem? Is it my partner problem? Is it a society problem? Like, do the work to make it okay. But if it's never okay, like period sex is something you never ever want to do, like you shouldn't be shamed for that either. As long as it's not because you're so ashamed of a natural process, I feel. Does that make sense?
No, I get it. Like, ask yourself, what's the reason for this? Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's okay if it's just your own stuff and it's not societal.
Yeah. And if you get a lot of cramps, try to masturbate. See what happens. That's just a tip. Rub it out when you're on your period.
But what do I know? I think we're good.
Okay. I really embarrassed the fuck out of myself this episode.
No,
I'm scared.
I will want to wrap this up with, for those of you who do not know, we do have content over on Patreon.
Yes.
We've been vlogging, dropping bonus episodes. I think this week we're doing a live Zoom episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun. It's not always easy because we have to do better with our scheduling, but we're getting it.
And also, it's a way to support us even if you don't have time for extra content. There's a tier that's $3 a month that's just for support. Then if you do have a little extra time for bonus episodes, live episodes, it's $7 a month. And if you like vlogs, that's our $12 tier. That's the We Really Like You tier. So you get the most perks with that tier.
And you get added to our close friends.
And,
we dropped a really fun, or not fun, a very interesting episode this week that I think you all would like. But yeah, so just a reminder that we are on Patreon. Come check us out over there. Baby.
Daddy.
Broken pussy.
Oh.
I'm playing. It's been years. We're so happily married now. Your pussy looks great.
Thank you.
Do you still like me?
I still like you.
I love you.
I love you more.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.